So we are actually towards the sort of north end of the Lake District, sort of on the border of what we would consider the English versus Scottish part of our map. And yeah, as you can see, Ralph already mentioned it, but it's a radically different visual to obviously the winter that we showed you last week. So all of the leaves have started to return to some of the trees, some have sort of stayed skeletal and sort of give you that really nice difference in the silhouette interest in the world that is very specific to spring. We've also got loads more moisture sort of ambiently in the world, so it's our wettest season in Britain. That's represented in games, so you get a lot of that standing water, lots of the deformable mud that we talked about in autumn, but also the lighting model is also now updated with all the sky catchers that we got from the spring season in real life, so you get a slightly higher sun arc than you would in winter, so the days are slightly longer, you get a little bit more brightness generally to the environment. And also you get all these really lovely pops of colour, so you get all the wildflowers that start to carpet the woodland, all the trees start to explode with little blossoms.
We know how much you love trees.
I do love the trees, yeah. But yeah, it's a very fresh visual, and I think that's the thing for me that really typifies spring in Britain, is that really fresh, crisp feel, and most of that comes from the excellent lighting work that the guys have done upstairs.
I just noticed Andy just took his wing mirror out. It was just kind of like, that doesn't need that going around in spring. So we have seen like the big changes of like all the seasons over the past 4 weeks. One of the big things I want to know is how's that going to continue to change from after launch of the game?
Yeah, that's a great question, because the last 4 weeks we've been showing kind of what the first 4 weeks, I guess, will be like when the game launches later this year. Everyone in the community will be taken through these seasons sequentially, just like in real life. But I think, and we mentioned this at E3, our commitment, I think, from this team to the people who are going to play the game is that the changes don't stop there. It's not just the 4 seasons will change in the ways we've seen over the last couple of weeks. The game is going to keep changing after launch as we continue to support it, as we continue to create new content for it, create new features for it, add stuff to the game. And really the point behind the seasons, their transitions, the timing, that weekly cadence of seasons post-launch is so that we can continue to deliver amazing stuff to this game. Some stuff that we have planned, some stuff I think that will come from feedback from the community post-launch, and not just for months, but I think for years after this game ships. Yeah,
which is really exciting as well. It's kind of like getting the community feedback and seeing what they want as well. Which is why as well, if you're watching a Mixer, remember, get involved, ask any questions you have for Ralph or Ben about spring or anything to do with Forza Horizon 4. We can answer them right here and now. But also, last week we took a look at the winter map. And I know we also have the spring map, which is going to go out on the Forza Motorsport social channels, so it's at Forza Motorsport and also at Forza Motorsport Official on Instagram.
So worth looking at here, I think. I don't think we've shown the forest just yet. If Andy keeps driving and maybe goes a little bit off the track, I think there's probably an interesting thing. Definitely for people who have played Horizon games before, for people that have played Horizon 3 in particular, we've had a lot of feedback on how to put it, tree language, I guess, or smashable language, we call it in the studio. It's something that we've actually worked on a great deal in this game. Basically, the feedback from 3 is that you don't know as you're approaching a tree if it's going to break or if it's going to stop you dead. And that gets pretty frustrating. That's something that we have spent a lot of time during this game working on. We've worked on a system whereby hopefully, and I think you can probably see it here, the thickness of trees is very clear as you're driving, even through a thick forest like this one, so that you always have a pretty good confidence level as to what's going to break when your car hits it and what's actually going to kind of break your car when you hit it. And as a result, and I'm going to challenge Andy to prove me right now, which might be a mistake, it's actually much easier to drive through wooded areas, even through dense forests like this, if you compare it maybe to the rainforest from Forza Horizon 3, which was a pretty perilous place to try and drive through. I think most people ended up just taking the roads through it. It's actually much clearer and much more readable as a player in Horizon 4. So that's something, it's kind of low level, but it's something that we're pretty proud of, and I think players will appreciate when they really get into the game.
Yeah, it does look incredible as well. It's so much fun as well, like all the trees, all the kind of like spring colours popping out, and just being able to kind of traverse through that world, because I know I was guilty of that in Forza Horizon 3. Every time going through a rainforest, I just hit a tree dead. hit my rewind as much as possible and try and find that perfect route through. So quite excited to try this out. But what else can people pick up with Spring, Ben?
With Spring, well, so I kind of already talked a lot about what.
You know, you got all the colour. I saw the snowy mountain peaks in the distance.
Well, that's true, yeah. So actually, you do get a bit of residual snow that sort of it recedes back up into the very peaks of the highest areas of the map. So you still get areas where there's a little bit of snow happening here and there. Also, like I know this is the sort of thing that I would personally get very excited about, Benny, as you know. But all the greens are a specific type of green. So Spring has like we actually went out with colour scanners and scanned all the values of all the leaves from the trees at different seasons, and they're much fresher and they don't sort of go to that sort of darker value of green, which again lifts everything up and makes everything feel slightly more fresh than summer, where everything becomes much more mature and also much more lush in the environment.
All right, so Team Adventure is kind of a natural evolution of online adventure from Forza Horizon 3. So two of the big differences are going to be, well, firstly, it's team-based, as you can tell by the name. So it's going to be a 6 versus 6.
Yep.
And the other thing is that it's restructured to really be a properly competitive game mode. So in Forza Horizon 3, you know, there were things like skills and clean, which kind of affected how well you were going to do. But this time around, it's just about how well you're doing in events, like, you know, what place you're coming in the race.
Okay, and also this epic grudge match, right? So you're representing the test team. Right, yep. How do you think you're going to do?
Well, the test team play the game every day for the last nearly 2 years, and the designers just make it work. they just design it. We're the ones who play it all the time, so we should know all of these courses inside out. We should know all the dirty tricks.
So you should take this 3-0.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So before we kind of get into the races,
we're right into the first race, which is going to be a cross country around Mortimer Gardens, which is kind of in the northwest part of the map. It's got some like Roman ruins. It's pretty interesting.
Right. And just before we get into this, event number 1, vote in the poll who you think is going to win the first event. Is it going to be Team Dinosaurs or Team Test? Vote now as we get into it and we'll see who wins. I'm personally going for Team Test because, you know, apparently have the best drivers and also Andy's not on the team as well, which is important. Okay, here we go. Right, so talk us through.
All right, so the first event is going to be a team race. So some of you that have played Forza Horizon 3 might be familiar with this. So basically how it works is every single opposing player that you finish ahead of, you score 100 points for your team. And also the person who comes first gets a bonus 50 points. So you can see all those points tallying up on the right there. And also it's all totaled up right at the top. And the team with the most points at the end wins, you see. The Dinosaurs obviously with a lead going in at the start.
You know, it's going against what the poll's saying. Team Test is the one that feels like the audience feels is going to be the winners. So it's going to be interesting.
Backed by the will of the people.
Well, yeah, you play the game the most, but everyone as designers are always the best.
How are you going to motivate your team?
If they don't win, they're coming in at the weekend.
That's just kind of a cool way to do it. It's like, all right, guys, you need to put even more practice into the racing, so they better win, or even more time at the weekend in. So, as well as the score, what other things should people be looking out for during the Team Adventure mode?
I think one of the important things, as well as the score, is the way that the scoring is designed means that even if you're stuck in last place, all you really need to do is make sure you try and get ahead of at least one person on the other team.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's no matter what position you're in, you don't need to try and win to be a contributing factor.
Yeah, because that's something that I think a lot of people find. If they're like dead last, they have a terrible start to a race, they're dead last, they're like, oh, I'm not going to be able to win this race now, so kind of just slow down and ease up and do that. But they're here, every single place matters. So if you're in 12th position, if you take one, it could be the difference.
Yeah, exactly. Doing an overtake from 12th to 11th matters just as much as 3rd to 2nd. So every single player is kind of equally important.
Have you seen like any tactics people have started doing already in like kind of play sessions as Andy's just crashing into people already?
I think someone crashed to a shed there, so I'll give Andy a pass on that. Andy, I think the main thing is that because it's a team race, it's really important you don't interfere with your own team.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just out for yourself. If you accidentally shove one of your teammates into a tree or outside of a checkpoint, that's going to be really damaging for your team. You need to be really careful with that.
But absolutely do interfere with the other team.
Knock them off the road. Like, I think I'd be a danger in this game because like I just crash into people and like it doesn't matter if they're on my team or the other team. It's just I'll just be like, all right, fastest way forward. I'd not be someone you'd want on your team, to be honest. All right, so we're coming up to the end of this lap right now, and at the top as well, you can clearly see who's winning.
Yeah, so there's a 150-point lead for design, obviously.
You're just like obviously right inside Adrian's going like, oh no,
Designer.
like what's going on? Okay, so end of the race, you've got Team Test, right? It's got 1,750 points, and Team Dinosaurs 1,900, which means the poll was wrong, all right? They went for Team Test, you sold them out, and now they've kind of ended up losing the race. Team Dinosaurs takes the first map, but what happens now, and what's the next step in the Team Adventure?
So an important thing to know about Team Adventure is it works as a best of 5. So that means it's the first of 3 points.
Yep.
And so we'll get to see here. The current score is 1-0 to design. And now we're going to go into the second event, which is going to be Free Roam Rush, which is going to be quite a different kind of team race. Once we get into it, we'll kind of explain how the difference is.
So what we'll do is we get into that. You've seen everyone play in the first race. Vote now in the poll for the second race, which is that Free Roam Rush. Okay, who do you think is going to win? Team Test or Dinosaurs? Vote now, and just kind of explain what we're playing for.
All right, so Free Roam Rush is kind of an evolution of the Drive to Event phase that was in Forza Horizon 3, but then it kind of didn't really contribute that much to overall adventure, but this time it's a proper event that counts just as much as every other event in the adventure. And the key difference is it's a team race, but it's a team race with no checkpoints. So you can take any route you like to get to the end. So there's a lot of strategy in like what route you're going to take and whether you're going to stick to the roads or beeline it across the cross-country.
Yeah, absolutely. World knowledge is a key factor for these parts because there's no checkpoints that you have to hit through. You just have to be the first to the end of the road. But you've got to know, is now a safe time to cut across country or should I be sticking to the roads here?
I think it's also going to be really exciting with seasons because seasons are going to change how you approach each of these races.
Absolutely. So, you know, in winter, obviously, that big lake freezes and that's a massive shortcut that opens up. Whereas, in fact, I think in this one, they have to navigate around the big lake because it's not the quickest way to go.
Well, yeah, you know, I don't know how about you, but I think this kind of driving your car into a big pool of water isn't going to go too well.
It's not renowned for being speedy.
No.
Yeah.
All right, so what's going on now? So this is the first time they're kind of going across country.
So you can see there was the road was actually really slow in that case. So everyone just cut straight across the landscape and taking that shortcut to get ahead, which can lead to some interesting jumps, but it's all in good fun. And
we also saw those destructible trees just kind of like bouncing around, just like flying across the sky. Who is winning right here? It's actually designed like. Dinosaurs are winning this one, aren't they?
No, this Team Test is winning. So,
yes, the blue team, Team Test is actually
just
by 50 points. So it's
you were behind though. Like you were like you're kind of pulling it ahead, and now Team Test is actually starting to rack up as you just get crashed into.
Yeah, that was Dinosaurs taking their own teammates out there, literally not listening to what Matt said to avoid doing.
After this, I'm going upstairs.
Right. That was close. And Andy just kind of had that decision of does he go right and then just kind of followed the Dinosaur straight across the side.
Yeah, he's managed to gain a bit of time there by taking that shortcut.
Which is not what we want really, because I am Team Test. All right, so it's working out.
We're still in the lead. So,
okay.
I find as a spectator, I'm just also getting as well as like looking at the wall, I'm just keep getting drawn to that top right corner where you can kind of see each team's score, which is just constantly going up and down like a ping pong.
Yeah, like Free Roam Rush is so variable, like it's so easy to just make one mistake, crash into a tree, accidentally end up in the middle of the lake. Easier said, happens more than you think. And you can lose so many positions.
Or sometimes that shortcut that you take that leaves you in 12th for ages, all of a sudden you're just cut out ahead of the pack.
Can you use rewind in the Free Roam Rush, or is it kind of like a...
Yes, you can. We've actually made kind of a new version of rewind that works in online races that just immediately pushes you backwards and no one else. So that's if you hit a tree, you can actually recover from it a bit easier now.
That's awesome. Okay, here we go. And we're now coming up to the third race. It is... Which team has won this? Team Test has won the rush, which means it's 1-1, right? It's
Yeah.
just what we want, okay? It's kind of keeps tension going.
By a significant margin compared to that.
It was a charity win. We don't want it to go 3-0. People want to see more.
We lulled you into a false sense of security.
False sense of security comeback. You did sell everyone, so you had the best drivers.
Yep.
But we're now coming up into survival, which is a brand new mode for Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah, exactly.
So once again, Team Test, right, was voted to win the last race. So the audience was right. The audience has got one right, one wrong so far. So this survival race coming up, once again, there will be a poll in the chat. Who do you think is going to win to take the 2-1 lead? Get involved. But what is survival?
All right, so this is an anything goes to adventure, which means it's a mixture of racing and playground games. And we're playing a brand new playground game here that nobody's seen before, which is called Survival. And so what Survival is it puts one team becomes the zombie team and another team becomes the team of survivors. So you can see the zombie team are the green players and the surviving team are the purple players on the leaderboard. The goal of the zombie teams is to hit all the survivors and infect them all at the same time as quickly as they possibly can.
Which is going to create a lot of carnage as well. So you've got a time limit on the bottom right-hand corner, which is 4 minutes per round?
Exactly, yeah. So they've got 4 minutes to try and do it. It's not very often that a team manages to last 4 minutes, but, you know, maybe design will manage to do that.
You sound optimistic. You're like,
yeah,
maybe we'll do it.
Exactly, yeah. And so you can see on the leaderboard now, a couple of the survivors have gone orange, which means they're becoming infected. But the twist is they can actually get healed by crashing into their allies.
Is that what we just saw on screen there, where Andy like hit into his car?
Absolutely right.
Right, so what else have we got going on at the moment? So you can see on the right who's infected, who's alive.
Yes, I think that's one of the key things. You've just seen now that we've dropped from the design team having 3 infected people to having no infected people, and that's one of the big sort of changes in this mode from the solo version of Infected, in that the game can change from being nearly lost to you being back in full form, going for that sort of 4 minute timeout.
Yeah.
So you can have like a huge swing of events. Like you could kind of have this moment. I think that's going to be a really exciting thing as a player as well, which kind of makes you want to hop on and play it. Is that you know that you could be like the last person alive, and you could just do like this epic comeback and like bring your friends back in. It's like you can you remember like Stuck in the Mud at primary school?
Yeah, it's a lot like that. Yeah.
It's kind of like all you need is the mud as well.
Yeah, so I mean, that's another good example. We were down to just one survivor on the design team, and the testers let him get away.
You're dropping.
Yeah, they all healed each other back up. This mode really is not over until it's over, which just makes it super exciting. And a team is just never out of the running.
One of the fun things about this as well is that if you're starting on the zombie team, you're not there trying to build up that sort of pack of people as you were in solo Infected.
Yeah.
Where at the beginning of it could sometimes feel a little bit slow. This time you're starting with this huge group of zombies just absolutely chasing after the whole team all at once, and it just feels a lot more fun straight from the get-go. You're right at the really intense part of the action.
So we're just going down to Mike is the last survivor to kind of tag in. There's 1 minute 30 left. Can he do something special?
Heal any of his allies?
He's getting chased by 200 people. It's like everyone's just clashing into each other. Is he going to be able to do it? No.
No.
Right, so you know what? That was a decent time though. 2 minutes 30?
Yeah, I think they survived for about 2:30, so yeah, it's pretty good. One of the super cool things is when there's only one person left, every single player is gunning for that player, so they want to get healed or get them.
You just have a
Super
massive panic attack. You look in your wing mirror and just like see like 11 cars just chasing you down the motorway. Just be like, all right, move. So we've got our next round now, right, which is...
So now we swap over. So the team of the zombies before, and now the survivors and vice versa. So now we're going to watch from Andy's perspective, who's now a zombie.
And one of the biggest changes is the mini-map, isn't it?
Yeah, so when you swap teams, one of the things that makes a big difference is the mini-map. So when you're on the zombie team, you can see all of the other players, whereas when you're on the survivor team, you can only see members of the survivors, so you can only see the purple players and the orange players. So you can get that, it gets a little bit nervy sometimes.
Yeah, so what we're going to do as well is just, we're going to bring some gameplay back up in a second, but the biggest thing with Team Adventure is it's just kind of, it is that competitive mode where you can hop on and it's how you feel in the team. What kind of advice would you give people hopping in for the first time?
So I'd say one of the key things is car choice is really important. We didn't get to see it, but you actually get the chance to see all the events that are coming up in the adventure at the start. And so you need to really carefully think about what events you're going to do. Like, is there any cross-country races? Maybe I should pick a trophy truck. Is there any street or asphalt races? I should think about them. And if you know the map really well, you might be able to figure out where the rushes go and plan accordingly.
Yeah, and you can also then, as well, you want to take into account the seasons too. So yes, it's, you know, a lot of cross-country events, but, you know, you want to make sure you've got the one that you've kind of tuned or tweaked to be really good on the snow and the ice. Or if you know that there's a really quick and easy shortcut that you'll make most advantage of in the free run rush, maybe you sacrifice some speed in a street race for extra speed in the free run rushes.
It's like planning ahead for the whole thing, because you can't change your car during the team adventure, can you?
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's kind of, you're going to get a different combination of cars depending on what you're going to be in the situation. Also, just a quick reminder for everyone watching at home, we are doing a cosmetic giveaway. We will be kind of getting back into the gameplay just in a second. But if you're watching over on Mixer, you have a chance of winning an in-game cosmetic. So get involved in the chat, ask some questions, let us know what you think. And we're going to get into that second round of the zombie survival. So you need to catch up.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, we managed to get back into it. So the design team is now playing the zombies, watching from Andy's perspective. They just need to get them as fast as possible. The time limit is set to the amount of time that the first team took, that's 2:30. And so they just, if the zombie team manages to get them all before the time is out, then the designers team's going to win.
Yeah, so at this point, the test team doesn't have to survive the full 4 minutes. We just have to survive longer than it took for us to hunt down all of the designers, which I'm sure they will.
You've got a good chance as well, and we did mention the minimap earlier, but can we kind of talk that through now that we can see it properly from the top left?
Yeah, sure. So as I was saying, as a zombie, as you can see from Andy's point of view, he can see all of the other players on the minimap. You can see his teammates in green, the other zombies, and you can see all the survivors in purple and orange. Whereas when he was on the survivors team, he could only see his survival teammates, which you it adds a layer of tension because you can't see where the zombies are. You just see your teammates flicking from purple to orange as they get picked off.
I think communication is going to be a big one as well, because I keep seeing everyone using the commands as well, just to kind of help each other out and kind of keep that movement away.
Or sometimes say boop.
Boop. Whatever you want to say. It's just like, did Spooky take someone out? Or, yeah, he did.
Yeah, exactly.
He is in the dinosaurs. So it's getting close. There's a minute left. You've got Tess is down to 2 people at the moment.
But it's entirely possible we can hopefully turn it all around and start healing up some of the infected members of the team. Otherwise, this is going to be a
It's scary though. How do you approach this as if you get infected? Are you just going to like kind of sit and wait for your team to come get you? Or are you going to chase your team? It's going to be interesting to see how people kind of take to it.
Yeah, that's absolutely where the communication really comes in. Like, around the studio, we've been shouting to each other, like, slow down, speed up, like, and behind you, I need you to heal me. Like, we're always shouting at each other around the office playing, because it just benefits so much from that kind of communication.
And he's just got to take 2 people out, like straight away, just 1, 2, tap. And you've got Owen is the last person standing. He has to survive for 18 seconds. All right, 15 seconds. All right, and. If I was Owen, I'd be very disappointed. I'd march upstairs right now and say, you're not having your weekend. Where was the communication? I backed you guys. The dinosaurs are winning. 2:22 taken. All right, so we finished the 3rd round now. We've got the 4th race coming up, okay? Team Tess has got to win this.
Got to win this to stay in it. And
so what kind of race have we got for the 4th race?
So this is another free run rush event. So between each of the sort of circuit or point-to-point sort of traditional events, you'll always have a free run rush, which is the race to get to the start line, basically.
Okay. So for those of you who are watching, you can vote in the Mixer poll right now. Who do you think is going to win? It is currently 2-1 to the Dinosaurs. And that makes it 2-1 as well to the non-chat, because the chat had been backing Tess every single time, right? And the Dinosaurs are pulling it off, okay? You oversold Team Test. Right, but you know what? They smashed the last kind of. They smashed this last time, so they could do it this time. Okay, I'm not feeling confident now. I feel like I backed the wrong horse.
Yeah, Team Design didn't win the last run rush, but I think that was just a fluke. I think.
So one of the big things as well, when we saw just at the start of the race there, what determines the lineup?
So the lineup is just based on the endpoint of the previous event, and it kind of interlaces the team just to keep it fair. So like blue, red.
Yeah, okay.
And everyone gets set off facing towards the direction that they need to head.
This is also kind of, this is where if you're playing at home, you're going to start getting stressed out. Oh my god! Like, and that was just like, how has Andy actually pulled that off and not just crashed into a tree? Because that was definitely a tree that would stop your car. Also, we've got some different questions. We've got some questions coming in from the audience right now. Matt Ignat says, how many different types of adventures are there?
So there's 3 kinds. So there's racing, if you just want to do racing. There's games, if you just want to do games. But what we're doing is anything goes, where it's a mixture of the 2.
So you can kind of get different styles.
Yeah.
And there's also sort of ranked versus unranked.
Yeah, actually, there's essentially 3 modes, which are kind of the same, but ranked modes. So that's always 12 people. You get skill-based matchmaking. We've got skill-based leagues for those, and special rewards for people that manage to climb up the league. So I'm really excited people get stuck in with that.
I'm quite excited for that. Anytime I hear anything like competitive and ranked, I'm just like, okay, all right, I'm in. I'm involved, especially in something like this, because I think this is so different and so exciting, because it is that kind of best of 5 kind of round, so you can have those big moments and those comebacks, which are really exciting when you're playing with a group of your friends as well. It is close right now. We're actually saying it's close. The dinosaurs are pulling away from it.
Up until about 5 seconds ago, Tester in the lead.
Like, that's what I said. As I said, all right, it's close. Oh wait, it's just swung the whole way the other way. It's now gone test. It's like kind of left or right. It's like who comes up with the best shortcut.
Yeah, that's the thing with Freedom Rush is the different shortcuts can pay off or sabotage you at different moments. So it's really hard to tell who is winning until right near the end. But it seems like the dinosaurs have got a nice lead, so doing pretty good.
You're doing quite well. It's because Murtag has just kind of got that locked up right now. It's the middle of the park. It shows how important it is. It's not just who's winning, because like you've got Chappie and Tanya getting 1,000 points for you combined, and then Murtag has got 650, and it's just that kind of mid-section where you've got all the players at the bottom of the team test.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is what we were saying. Like, it's really important just for 1 or 2 of the back-ended test team just to overtake and gain that extra 100 points just by taking over 1 extra person.
If I was Tanya, I'd be knocking Murtag off the road right there. I'd be like kind of getting a little swipe. Right, this is close, 75% of the way, and this is, do we go to a map 5 or do we stay on, is it a 3-1 finish? Right, let us know in the chat quickly. We don't have time for a poll, but who do you think? No.
Just don't hit a tree.
What do you mean don't hit a tree? Well, you're back in the dinosaurs.
Yeah,
well, I'm just like, hit a tree. He just nearly went. Oh, I think if that went for a few seconds longer, that'd have been over. But that is a 3-1 finish. All right, to be fair, Team Test smashed the first one, and then in this free roam rush, you got actually beaten worse than the other one.
Yeah.
In a Horizon game. This isn't it, actually. This is, I don't think we've shown this in the streams before. That's Banbury Castle, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're at the coast, actually, again, which I don't think we've actually seen, but there you go. So that's Banbury Castle. There's a big old British beach over there to the right.
It's actually another gameplay arena.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, and if we drive up, this is sort of the east coast of the world that we've built. Eventually, we will get to Edinburgh. And it's probably worth mentioning just like why we have cities in Horizon. We didn't have any cities. We had a biggish town in one, but it really
Main town.
Main town was what it was called. Yeah, only town.
It was the main town. Yeah.
But from 2 we had Nice in the south of France. Obviously in Horizon 3 we had Surface Paradise, and I think it's a really important component to a Horizon world now. I know a lot of people really love the experience of driving in a city. It gives you quite a different style of gameplay from what Horizon's predominantly about the thrill of the open road. That's what we always kind of set out to achieve. But certainly there's a really cool gameplay when you're driving around a city, particularly a city you recognise. And Edinburgh certainly for us ticks those boxes, and it's really cool to have it in the game.
I think also while we're driving up, because I know that it's been one of the biggest questions as well, is why not London? Like, I'm a Londoner, so I'm like, why not London?
So London's a great city. Everyone knows what a great city London is. It's also absolutely massive, and it's also like incredibly, how to put it, like unique. Right? When you get anywhere near central London, every building is completely different, and every building is completely iconic. And really, the amount of work, I guess, that would be involved in recreating London would mean you probably didn't have any time left over to go build the rest of the game. I think, you you would probably have to devote an entire game to London to do it justice, and also in so doing, you would probably fundamentally change. And there's Edinburgh.
As you just lost your
that's a pretty cool way to reveal Edinburgh. Yeah, and in doing so, you would really change what the game's about. You know, if your game was all street racing and cities, then suddenly you're making a game like Midnight Club, which are brilliant games, but not the game that we have ever set out to make or really necessarily want to make. Like I say, Horizon is about the thrill of the open road. It's about driving on the best driving roads in the world, and the fact that we can incorporate a city like Edinburgh, which is obviously smaller than London, but I think no less iconic, no less beautiful. It fits our game really well. And
talking about like, iconic locations, where was that we just jumped from? Like, it's one of the most, like, it's iconic for you.
I mean, that was Arthur's Seat, which is a kind of a big rocky hill outside Edinburgh, which is quite famous if you live in Edinburgh.
And affords great views of Edinburgh.
It does,
as you just saw, yeah. But I think the other stuff that's worth talking about when it comes to Edinburgh is how cool the road network is in this particular urban environment in this game. So before with Surface Paradise, it was quite a modern high-rise city, and it had that very grid-like road network, which afforded a certain type of experience. I think what's great about Edinburgh is the roads have obviously built up over time. There's a lot of history associated with this location, and it creates these really interesting pieces of road network that the level designers have been able to leverage and create some really unique races that I don't think we would have been able to create in an urban environment if we were in another sort of more modern.
Yeah. Like, what other major locations are there which you would say in?
So let's point out. So that's the Scott Monument. So we're on Princess Street, which is the main thoroughfare in Edinburgh. The street. It's the main street in Edinburgh, and obviously it has many famous buildings on it, not least of which is obviously the castle, which is just over there. Andy's driving away from it now, which is. Useful, but
he's taken the scenic route.
He is.
Taking this nice loop. While we're doing this route, we've actually also got a question from the chat as well, from Timberwolf. Is it true there are businesses you can use to make money, or is it just another fake rumour? Especially as we're going up to Edinburgh Castle, which costs a lot of money.
It does cost a lot of money, and actually we revealed the answer to that question just a couple of minutes ago, I think, when we drove past. One of the Horizon stories which involves a player business, so that is not a fake rumour. You can.
It's not fake news.
It's not fake news.
It's real news.
Part of as part of some of the Horizon stories. To get into and play those stories, you have to go by a business, and the one that we just passed is called World's Fastest Rentals, which involves you buying. I believe a supercar rental business. Is that which is obviously to allow you to go drive supercars for fun, which is kind of the point of Horizon games. And once you bought that business, and as you progress that Horizon story, you will earn money from that business, and you will see that come into your account every time you log on.
Okay, and then hopefully earn enough money to buy Edinburgh Castle in the long run for it as well. Dirk Michaels also asked, does surface water impact driving like ice in winter?
It does, yes, as it has done in Horizon games since we introduced it in Horizon 2. Yes, so absolutely. The physics of a wet road is something that we model and something that we replicate in the game, and you will feel, as Andy is probably now, that you need to drive a slightly different way when the roads are wet.
So also, one of the biggest changes in Horizon is day and night cycle. I think we're going to head over to a race so we can kind of see Edinburgh at night.
Yes, we're going to do a street race, which Andy's going to drive up to in a couple of seconds. And street race thread in the game, they're all night races that it's appropriate time of day to be doing some street races, right? And Edinburgh in particular looks really, really stunning at night. There's a lot of work that we've done under the hood to really put a lot of new features into our night lighting model that we've never had before. So we're really, really proud of it, which is why we're going to be showing off in a couple of seconds. So I think Andy's just come around this corner here where the event start is, just down here.
Here we go.
So yeah, so we did show you a little bit of night in last week's stream.
Yeah.
But obviously Andy failing to hit a bonus board time and time again was probably not the best.
I think they mentioned that in the chat.
Yeah, that was
It's your time to redeem yourself. It's redemption.
So I thought it was only fair to show everybody what night looks like when that's not happening, and also in Edinburgh where we've got lots of really cool things going on. So as I said on the previous stream, we've got true shadow casting lights now from the car and the environment, which is a feature for the Xbox One X. We've also got all of that stuff rendering it into the car bodies and reflecting off all the materials in better ways than we've ever been able to before. So you'll see all those pings coming off the metalwork. We've also got these really cool flares, which are a nice sort of, they're obviously our checkpoints for the race, but they also demo some of the cool lighting features that are going on off of those as well. And as you can see, Edinburgh itself is just a super cool place at night. So all the shop lights have turned on, all the street lights, all of the uplighting on all the sort of major monuments, which is a real feature of Edinburgh. So one of the things you'll always see if you Google Edinburgh on sort of Google search is all the cool uplit castles and monuments and things. So that's something that our lighting artists have been able to have real fun with this time around.
It makes you really want to go and visit Edinburgh. I'm just kind of like noticing that because it's a city I've never been to, and it just looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it is a beautiful place. You should totally go.
I will. It'll be next on my trip. We've also got another question from the chat where Beardia Bread asks, "What's the most common weather?"
To be fair, I think we've really tried really hard to curate a nice balanced experience for everybody. So we've tried to make sure you get a bit of everything. You get overcast skies, as some people would assume would be the majority of the weather in Britain, but as we've sort of proved over the course of these streams, you also get some really gloriously sunny days as well, amazing sunsets. There was a quote by the famous painter Turner who said that Britain had 4 skies in one sky.
You're bringing out a famous painter quote.
There you go. That's what I do. Everybody loves me for it in the studio, especially Ralph.
This is the first one I've heard. Why have we not heard these quotes earlier?
Because I've been told not to do it. I'm joking.
Fair enough. It's one of those things, though. I'm quite excited to see the change of weather as well. It's just kind of like when we went into that cockpit view, that kind of different reflection of the lights. But that is the end of that race right there, and we're coming out. If you guys have got any questions as well, just before we kind of wrap up the stream, because it's kind of sad. This is the end of 4 weeks.